Hello and welcome to top10list.org, where you get a world of knowledge in 10 simple points. On today's episode, we're going to talk about top 10 atrocities that were influenced by ideologies. Let's dive right in at number 10 with Frank Bainimarama. The ruling dictator of Fiji is not left behind on this list. Having been in power for over 6 years, Frank has a history of one of the most brutal rulers ever, be it his tortures, extortions, exploitations, murders, or theft. He has his own way to deal with things. Known for his dictatorship in Fiji, there have been a number of intimidations and arrests of innocent civilians. Nature has always its vengeance coming. For decades, there have been dictators whose ideology proves to be a bane to a number of innocent people. Number 9 is Jaguar. The profession of seeking alms practiced in and around Maharashtra, Karnataka, and the northern Andhra Pradesh in India. Jaguar has its own consequences for its ideology that has been misinterpreted with time. In Jaguar clans, men are known as Jatka and females are known as Jatki. The ideology was supposed to highlight the significance and value of Devdasis, who used to serve the sacred deity. With the passage of the Devdasis began entertaining the nobles and thus were known as brothels. Foreseeing the consequences, the Devdasis were casted out for years with the concept of Jaguar. This concept was highly revived and sustained throughout the regions. If a girl has tangled blocks of hair is found in her hair, she is made to get married to the god and is bound to serve the deity for the rest of her life and is not entitled to lead a normal life. On the other hand, if men suffer blood and urination, they are as well married to the deity and are supposed to wear the attire of a woman, sari, bangles, bindi, etc., and lead the rest of their lives. To lead and sustain their lives, the Jaguar clan goes about seeking alms, dance to impress the deities, and is bound to remain that way. The females tend to suffer a lot of itchy scalp and other hair problems as they are not allowed to touch their hair for the rest of their lives. Hundreds of people give up their lives unable to bear the societal pressures. Number 8, Islam Karimov. Yet again, communism struck back the honorable president of Uzbekistan, Islam Karimov. Serving his third term in office, his communistic approach has its own drawbacks. The press and both activists and journalists who do not follow the accepted form of Islam are often tortured to death. To date, there are more than 7,000 prisoners who are being brutally tortured to death. One of the most important rules under his regime is that every season, regardless of your stature, every university student, teachers, civilians, common people are made to produce cotton under inhumane conditions. The citizens could only hope for the end of his communist regime. Number 7 is Isaias Afwerki. Just like the name, his ideology was in a labyrinth. Known for his history to have liberated his country, today the same citizens are being deployed of their freedom in an idealistic comrade turned dictator. Sounds familiar. With no formal constituency, every male from the age of 18 is forced to join national services and are killed or tortured in jail. Women belong to the lowest strata of the society and have no say in any form. Media in every form is totally banned after the excruciating torture of thousands of journalists and activists. Be it hunger, poverty, curb of freedom of press, human rights, Eritrea is known for its tragic rule. At number 6 is Jong Il. The name that sends chills down the spines of the North Koreans, the late Jong Il, has given nightmares to millions of people. His rule has and will be a significant part of history. The 69-year-old was capable of anything and everything. Drawing the legacy from his father, he came to power after his democratically elected father Kim Jong-un died. While he dined on lavish culinary delicacies, more than 43% under the age of 5 were malnourished. The innocent civilians and the citizens have been deprived of their basic standard of living and freedom of speech rights. All the communication services, mobiles, and emails are constantly monitored with minimal access to internet as per the favoring political parties. His ideology of power, be it power over people or the nuclear power, over hundreds of thousands of people have been exploited and killed. Over 200,000 prisoners were alone captured in labor camps where they were starved and tortured to death. Indeed, a truly expensive ideology. Number 5 is Omar alBashir. The anti-government socialist whose ideology mainly revolved around overthrowing the then democratically elected Prime Minister of Sudan, Sadek al-Mahdi. Once he gained power, he had no turning back. He royally dissolved the parliament and banned all the political parties. All the democratic supporters were shown their place. He was then asked to be known and is recognized as the prime minister and the chief of his state. His main ideology was his crave and greed for power, which led him breaks in his moral principles and slit the throats of millions of innocents. Number 4 is Osama bin Laden. One of the most dreaded terrorists of the world, this 27th kid of his mother has created history all over again. He solely shook the whole world with the effect of the World Trade Center in 2001. The terrorist organizations have spread like wildfire. With the American forces sniffing all over the world, his ideology of jihad, the holy war, has shaken the world from its foundation. With the collapse of the World Trade Center and a number of other blasts, his ideal brain had revolutionized the world all over again. Truly, an idea can change your life. Number 3 is Mao Zedong. One of the eminent and influential rulers the world has ever known, yet another leader known for his communist ideologies, Mao Zedong has revolutionized the concept of the practice of communism and its consequences. With his sole idea of a one-party socialist government by a communist government, the Great Leap Forward has taken its roots and has resulted in the deadliest consequences. The number of lives lost is no account. Communism is one such ideology that looks good on theory but has no value in practical approach. And number 2 is Hitler. As common as Jesus, Hitler has revolutionized the face of history. Be his atheism policies or his unknown hatred for Jews, his ideologies have costed not just lives, but the economic reforms of a number of nations which are still recovering today. The roots of World War II, the roots of hatred, the roots of devastation in economy, lives and nations, it all germinated in one man's brain. His sole ideology led to the massive destruction of not only Nazi Germany but the whole world. Millions of people were killed in the Holocaust torture chambers, lives were too serious to be taken. One of the best examples of the atrocities resulted by the influence of his ideologies. And last but not least on our list, at number 1 is Stalin. Known all over the world, Joseph Stalin has always had his way and say in everything. Renowned for his brutal acts, Hitler per se is proven to be as equal or as even worse than Hitler. As his famous quote states, if a person dies, that loss whereas as if 1,000 people die. It's just statistics. Be his tactics during the World War or his communist rule, he emerged as a sole leader, for he made sure he had no opposition. Blinded with power, he went to any extent to save his nation. The Great Famine, which was started by his communist principles of de-kulakization, has claimed countless thousands of lives with the help of his secret agency, the NKVD. He ran an entire nation, an ideology too dangerous a term to be used. Thank you for joining us on this list of top 10 atrocities that were influenced by ideologies. If you enjoyed this list, don't forget to click subscribe and join us again for another edition of Top 10.